Deadpool has become a pop culture event as the character is almost everywhere, and it has even joined the Marvel Cinematic Universe this year. Now, even though he has been one of the most popular characters in the franchise, with his own game, Deadpool didn't get much to do in the animated world. Marvel has had a roster of animated projects over the years, and it seems that the Merc with a mouth deserves a chance to get some work there too. But then, whenever he did get a chance to make an appearance, he proved that he was the perfect fit. Let's look at all the Deadpool appearances in Marvel's animated projects. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Cameos in X-Men the Animated Series. The X-Men Animated Series is one of the best things to come out of Marvel in the 90s. And it is not surprising that the series featured many other characters from the Marvel Universe. We got a chance to witness the X-Men encounter them in various situations, and often it would just end up being another day in the animated series. But that's not surprising, considering this was the case with many of the animated shows that came out around then. I still remember that Ghost Rider cameo in the Fantastic Four animated series, where he lands the final blows on Galactus. So, it would not be surprising to hear that the Merc with a Mouth made his first appearance in this media with the X-Men animated series. Deadpool appeared in the comic book 1991 under the hands of his masterful creator, Rob Liefeld, but it would take some time for him to become a household name, as all he had initially were some silent appearances. Even though we know him for his talkative persona, he had an indirect cameo in some Visions, and, when Morph subjects Wolverine to an interaction with the people from his past. The first time he showed up was in the mind of Sabretooth as Xavier explored his past. Later, in one of the episodes, Morph faces Wolverine, takes the form of multiple characters from Wolverine's past, taking Deadpool's form for a few seconds. But the fact that he didn't appear himself is one of the reasons we didn't get to witness his blabbermouth or any other particular characteristics. Don't mind me. I mean, he looks fantastic in the costume and everything, but Deadpool is a lot more than all these aspects of the character. Luckily, Marvel has revived the series with X-Men 97, which means we might get a chance to witness Deadpool reappear, and we can only hope that he appears himself and, clears up the entire shared history he shared with Wolverine and Sabretooth. Marvel Anime, X-Men. It seems that the X-Men have some severe issues with Deadpool, or maybe something about him didn't work out for the mutants based on his next appearance in the animated world. Following the success of the Marvel storylines in the animated shows, we witnessed some anime based on some of the most popular characters like Wolverine, Blade, and Iron Man, and these were all connected to the Wolverine in one way or another. Finally, the X-Men anime series came out and brought a roster of Marvel characters with it. So, keeping the tradition, Deadpool finally ends up making a cameo in the series, as he is himself, and this time, he is a lot more than the anti-hero we know of. Even though he doesn't get a single dialogue, we get him to stand next to the other mutant heroes as they fight against a common enemy, Xavier's son, Takeo. Xavier makes a psychic announcement for all the mutants at this time, and hence, Deadpool becomes an official X-Men member here, fulfilling one of his biggest dreams. After all, Ryan Reynolds wasn't born yet, so maybe the creators were waiting for him before they gave him a voice. Ultimate Spider-Man. Deadpool and Spider-Man have had an exciting bond in the comic books, even though they had a raw start with being pitted against each other. But, over time, their bond developed a lot, and we finally saw the much-loved characters have a chance to appear together in an exciting storyline. After all, the two ended up watching Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice together, even though Marvel managed to change the name to something else. Spider-Man is one of the most popular Marvel characters ever, and he has given us some of the most impressive animated shows. So, finally, when Marvel had the chance to put the version of Deadpool we have read in the comics into a solid animated appearance, they picked the Ultimate Spider-Man animated series. there are a lot of changes made to his origin story as he appears as an individual who gained his powers while under training at S.H.I.E.L.D. Deadpool eventually strays away from Nick Fury's plans and goes to hunt down the people who tormented. When he finally joins Spidey, we see the crazy possibilities this character has and how much fun it is to work with him. Okay, you want an example? When he explains to Power Man, White Tiger, Nova, and Iron Fist how he managed to stash Dr. Doom, and they ask for proof, he shows them a video of a Dr. Doom hand puppet showing his rage for Deadpool. Yes, that's the Deadpool we remember from the comic book. The Merc with a mouth teams up with Spider-Man, and it becomes clever that this will be something Spider-Man will either hate or ultimately resent. It might be a while before we see Spider-Man and Deadpool together again, and that's one of the reasons why this animated series hit all the marks for the duo. Not many mutants made it through to this animated series, with Wolverine, Sabretooth, Beast, Juggernaut, Mystique, and Mesmero being the only few. Even though the origin story is similar to the natural Deadpool arc with, cancer and everything, this close connection with S.H.I.E.L.D. was utterly new. And yes, last but not the least, Deadpool breaks the fourth wall quite a few times in this appearance, even though he knows this is an animated series he is a part of. At one point, he almost changed the series title from Ultimate Spider-Man to Ultimate Deadpool. There are even jokes about how similar their costumes are, as Deadpool blames Spidey for stealing his design. So we finally have the Merc with a mouth we have been waiting for.
Hey, wait for me! Who wants snacks? You do!
Hulk vs. Wolverine. Hulk vs. Wolverine is probably one of the most interesting animated features released when, Marvel tried to compete with DC's animated feature market. The title sounds like it will be limited to the two titular characters. But wait until you see the number of characters that appear here. While we see a fight between Hulk and Wolverine, Team X pops up, intervenes in the battle, and captures both individuals. This rendition of Team X includes Sabretooth, Omega Red, Lady Deathstrike, and the Professor. And another surprise addition. Even though their prime interest was Hulk, Wolverine's history with the team proved to be why they would go towards killing him. While Wolverine meets up with his past friends turned foes, one of the members of Team X turns out to be Deadpool himself. Even though the others were looking forward to killing Wolverine, Deadpool had reasons and tendencies that would show his hatred for Logan. For a second there, when Bruce Banner turns into Hulk inside the facility, we do get to see a very tiny Wolverine and Deadpool team up until Hulk exclaims he wants to break Deadpool. Wolverine decides to serve Deadpool by throwing him at Hulk. Even this tiny appearance doesn't allow Deadpool to hold back from his cheeky jokes and other aspects, as he is seen healing after being beaten in the worst possible manner. Nolan North voiced the character in this appearance, and there's no wonder that North would be the perfect choice, and would also voice the character in various video games and other such appearances. You might wonder if Marvel had some plans for the character since, he finally appeared in an animated feature that could have simply been a fight between Wolverine and Hulk. This animated feature came out around when a film was under development, even though it would be stuck in that stage for a long time afterward. Marvel Disc Wars. The Avengers. Now, Marvel hasn't held back from the anime people who created their renditions of the Marvel storylines to make some interesting animated shows. What can be defined as a mixture of the Avengers and the much-beloved Pokemon franchise, Marvel Disc Wars The Avengers had an exciting storyline that would probably never make it to the live-action interpretation. Here, the significant members of the Avengers end up being trapped inside discs, linked to 5 teenagers who can use the discs to summon these heroes for short periods. Yes, this is the premise of the animated series, and we get to see our favorite Marvel heroes turn into Pokemon, as the kids summon them based on the situation's requirement. Deadpool plays a mercenary who is not a member of the Avengers, and hence is not trapped by these discs. If you thought the show's concept sounded ridiculous, you wouldn't be surprised to hear that Deadpool felt the same way, and made it clear in the animated series himself. Of course, he does mention that he is in an animated series himself. In the 2 appearances he makes in the animated animated series, he tries to gain control and become the main character of the series and, tries to sell Iron Fist's disc to Taskmaster, who turns out to be quite the coward. Later, Black Widow hires him to help the kid who had Captain America's disc, and Cap himself to defeat Baron Zemo. Takahito Kosayu does a brilliant job at bringing the character to life, bringing the same energy that Deadpool requires when brought into the animated world with a colorful persona.
Bling, 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 bling. Repulsor! Wow! Can you believe it? I'm fighting the Avengers!
Marvel Future Avengers. The Marvel Future Avengers animated series is way different, and their concept stands out from the crazy rendition of the Avengers that we just talked about. Here, we find that there are free teenagers who the Hydra raised, but were trained to be superheroes. And at the same time, the Avengers were made their enemies. The superhero powers and abilities came because Hydra all genetically modified. Luckily, the kids end up realizing that they are being lied to and defecting as the only ones to escape. So they go to ask for help from Tony Stark. The Avengers manage to liberate all of the kids. After discovering their potential, they decide to train the kids to be superheroes instead of supervillains and give the team the name Future Avengers. Over time, the kids discover that more such experiments are being done, and more kids are being brought up like them, and they decide to liberate them. Well, Deadpool appears in the series, and he gets hired by Masters of Evil to get the kids so that they can be brought back to their original intention. In his first appearance, he arrives at the Avengers Tower to infiltrate the place and make himself home. The adult superheroes had left the Future Avengers to do house-sitting as they went on a fake mission set by Deadpool himself. Now, we see a much more anti-hero version of him as he works for Hydra, but stands in the way of Crossbone's attack on the kid. Later, Hydra hires Deadpool to kidnap Makoto and return him to them. Deadpool leads the Avengers to Hydra as he takes Makoto and ends up being the reason behind solving the fight between the Avengers and Hydra. Deadpool doesn't hold back in having some real fun talking about the anime style and, other things involving fighting the Avengers. The best thing has to be him making the sounds of his weapons as he uses them against his enemies.
You're out of your mind to come here. I will destroy you!
Marvelous verdict. It's pretty apparent. If you think your Marvel project is getting boring, just bring in Deadpool and his cavalcade of craziness, and he will make your project larger than you expected. The fact that Deadpool is being used to revive the Marvel Cinematic Universe is really not surprising, as he brings the wide range of Marvel projects together with Cameos and gives us some major fan service. Even though the character doesn't appear much in animated shows, seeing him making the most of his opportunities is relaxing. But I wonder what persona he would have in the darker world of the XMen animated series. And if you like the content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to it if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone!